Hello. Hi, hello. How are you guys? I hope you're having a great day. In today's live training, I am going to be teaching you guys how to determine whether or not a food is a good source of protein. Because there's a lot of misconceptions out there on what actually constitutes as a high protein source. And so I wanted to make it super simple and super easy for you guys to determine whether or not a food is actually going to give you a good amount of protein for its caloric buck. And I'm going to kind of explain what that means using a calories to protein ratio. But before we get started with that, in case you're just not really sure why you would want to know this, just a quick recap on the importance of protein. Protein is the most satisfying of all of the macronutrients that we have available to us in our food. So we primarily have carbohydrates, fat, and protein. Alcohol is also a macronutrient. We're going to forget about that one. Protein is the one that's going to hold you over the longest. It's going to make you feel full faster and make you feel full for longer. So if you are on a fat loss or a weight loss journey, that eating more protein is just going to make sure that you are feeling fuller on the amount of food that you're eating, which is going to make the process feel much less daunting and miserable. Protein is also a really great thing to focus on when you are working out consistently, when you're in the gym. It's going to help you recover from your workouts. It's going to make you perform better in your workouts or in the sport that you play. And it's also going to allow you to build muscle. Building muscle is going to increase your metabolism. By increasing your metabolism, you're also going to burn more calories, another contributing factor to a weight loss or a fat loss journey. There are a lot of really great things about protein, so we're going to get started in actually determining what a high protein food really is, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there. So to help you understand what a high protein source really is, I'm going to use the protein to calorie ratio, and I'm going to give you guys some examples on how to actually do this on your own with your own food, looking at the food labels of the food that you're eating. So I have a couple of sheets here for you guys, starting with this one. So the protein to calorie ratio. In order to determine this, you need to take the number of calories in the food that you are consuming. So if it has a food label, just look at the back of the food label, get that number of calories, put it at the top of this equation. Total number of calories for the serving size that you are looking at. If you don't have a food label, just Google it. Google lentils, I don't know, whatever you're eating, and take the calories, put it at the top. Secondly, you're going to take the total amount of protein for that same serving size of the food that you are looking at and put that number in grams down here. So the calories divided by the grams of protein is going to give you X. Now you're going to take X, round it to the nearest whole number, and then it's going to be expressed in the ratio of 1 to X. So this is going to mean for every 1 gram of protein, you're getting this many calories. Okay, so you can do this with any food that you have. All you need to know is the amount of calories and how much protein is in that serving size. So when you are determining whether something is actually a good source of protein, you can use this guideline right here. So I have kind of deemed myself, so this is my own personal opinion on what I actually consider to be a great protein source, a good protein source, an okay protein source, and a poo protein source, which basically just means it's not significant in protein whatsoever. So starting with a great protein source, I would consider anything to be 1 to 10 or less. So you're going to get at least, you're going to get a maximum of 10 calories for every 1 gram of protein. So if it is anywhere from 1 to 10, 1 to 9, 1 to 8, 1 to 7, all the way down, then I would consider that a great source of protein. You can also kind of consider this a lean protein source. You've probably heard that term before, lean protein. Those are going to be what's considered a great protein source, is in this ratio here. Now, I would say especially if you're looking for weight loss or fat loss, or you're trying to eat in a calorie deficit, you want to focus the majority of your protein sources within this category right here. the green category. So after that, we have our good protein sources. Now again, if you are looking for weight loss, if you're looking for fat loss, most of your protein should again be right here in the green, but you can still get some of your protein sources from this orange line right here. And that's going to be anything with a protein to calorie ratio of 1 to 11 to 1 to 13. Okay, so within this great protein source category, this would basically mean that if you wanted to get 30 grams of protein, which I would say is a good target for most of your meals, 30 grams of protein in a single meal, you would have to eat 300 calories or less of that food in order to achieve that 30 gram of protein mark. Now with the good source of protein, that would just bump that up to 390. So you would have to eat a maximum of 390 calories of that food in order to get 30 grams of protein. So those what I would consider to be the protein sources most people should be focusing on the most. Now we're going to come down to okay protein sources. These are still fine to include in your diet. They're just not really all that great in giving you a lot of protein for their caloric buck. So this is going to be anything with a protein to calorie ratio of 1 to 14 to 1 to 16. And that would basically mean you would have to eat 480 calories or a little bit less than that, anywhere from 390 to 480 calories in order to get 30 grams of protein. And then anything above 1 to 17 is a poo protein source. It is not a significant source of protein. So I have some examples for you guys. For an example of a great protein source, we're just going to keep it nice and simple, protein powder. Okay, I know it's not, some people might not consider it a food, but it's coming from whey, it's coming from milk. I consider it a food, and it's a great source of protein. It really is. It's going to give you a lot of protein for the caloric buck. So, in order to determine its protein to calorie ratio, you would take the total number of calories, which for my protein powder is 120 calories listed on the label, for 24 grams of protein. 120 divided by 24 equals 5. The ratio is 1 to 5. It's considered great because it's 1 to 10 or less. For a good protein source, we have some whole eggs. A whole egg is going to give you about 70 calories and 6 grams of protein. So you would take 70 divided by 6. The total ends up being 11.7, so round that to the nearest whole number. It's 12, so it's 1 to 12. It falls within that good protein source category. For an okay protein source, the example is bacon. For 2 slices of bacon, it's going to be roughly 80 calories and give you 5 grams of protein. Take 80 divided by 5. The total is 16. And 16 is within that category of okay. It's okay protein source. So it's not all that great. You're not getting a whole lot of protein for your caloric buck. You're actually getting more of the calories from the bacon coming from fat than you are getting from protein. Now we have my favorite category, the poo protein sources. These are things that are huge misconceptions that I have heard 1,000 times. And if you are looking at this and are like, peanut butter is not a protein source, thank God you think that, because there are actually people in this world that believe still that peanut butter is a great source of protein when it is in fact a poo protein source. For 2 tablespoons, 200 calories and 7 grams of protein. 200 divided by 7 is 28.6. Your ratio is 1 to 29. It's not a protein source, okay? You would have to eat 675 calories of peanut butter just to get 30 grams of protein. It's not good. Don't recommend it, especially if you're looking for weight loss. And lastly, chickpeas. This is a big one thrown out there for vegetarians or any bean. I just use chickpeas here. 100 calories per half cup divided by 5 grams is 20, so the ratio is 1 to 20. And you would have to eat 600 calories of chickpeas just to get 30 grams of protein. So, poo protein source. So hopefully this makes it super easy for you guys to determine whether something is a protein source or not. Thanks for watching.